If there's one thing so common in Africa, right, is to see leaders who will stay in power indefinitely and who will do their best to make sure that the opposition doesn't go anywhere. That if you oppose them in politics, you become their personal enemy. They are unable to separate politics from their personal feelings and emotion. To them, one is as the same as the other. And in Africa, if you're not being very careful, your political opponent will trample on you, will crush you, will make sure you do not even speak out. If we take the case of Uganda, where Yoweri Museveni has been there for years and has managed to crush every single opposition that has wanted to challenge his authority. And the same thing is going on in Zimbabwe. You know, Robert Mugabe ruled the country, I think, for 40 plus years, if I'm not mistaken. When he was about to die, then there was a coup in the country, and power was ceded to Emmerson Mnangagwa. I remember Emerson Mnangagwa was a member of Robert Mugabe's team. So it was just like the same people continuing governing the country. And Mnangagwa has also become very, very authoritarian. And he has spared no effort to crush any sign of dissent. Like any opposition has been crushed. Anyone who wanted to protest or do anything is being dealt with severely. Like he will not tolerate any nonsense. That is African politician for you. I told you, my brothers and sisters, these our African politicians are dangerous. They are so dangerous. So let's get to this article and then I will give you my take on politics in Africa. So the headline reads, 33 opposition lawmakers barred due to alleged imposture. Yeah, that they've decided to bar 33 opposition lawmakers. So let's get into the details of the story to really understand what went wrong. Zimbabwe's main opposition party, the Citizens Coalition for Change, has lost a shocking 18 new parliamentary seats after an impostor announced in parliament that they had left the party, resulting in the loss of their seats. This news comes a month after 15 other MPs were deprived of their seats in the same way, bringing the total to 33 parliamentarians removed from their mandate. And as the CCC accuses the ruling party, Zanu PF, of carrying out a vast campaign of intimidation of his supporters. It's absurd and lamentable. I am the leader of the opposition in the assembly. All communication from my party must go through me, reacted Amos Chibaya to the press shortly after the president of the parliament confirmed his recall as well as of the 12 other deputies. 5 senators were also removed from their seat. At the beginning of October, a certain Senzo Shibango, presenting himself as the acting general secretary of the CCC, sent a letter to Parliament claiming that 15 elected deputies had left the party. The head of the CCC, Nelson Chamisa, then asked that his error reading letter not be taken into account, explaining that the author was not a member of the opposition party and that no elected official had left the rank. Parliament nevertheless declared those positions vacant. But when I said this is funny, that someone wrote a letter to Parliament claiming that a few parliamentarians have left the party And that letter was taken into consideration and acted upon. And you ask yourself, who can send a letter to Parliament first? And secondly, if a letter is sent to Parliament, don't the parliamentarians have to declare themselves that they have left the party? Should the House Speaker just take the letter into consideration and act it upon? This is politics in Africa, my brother and sister. It's so dangerous. It's so funny. And sometimes the things you hear, right, about politics in Africa will make your head spin. Like you feel like, what are these people really doing? And who are they really trying to fool? Because we know everything they are trying to do, right? And you'll be like, do they think we are this stupid and that we can just fall for things like this? But the bottom line is they don't care if you know or you don't know, right? They don't care whether you believe it or not. They just do what they want to do and then they move on. Let's continue. The same scenario repeated itself this week. This Shabangu is not a member of the CCC and has no authority to recall members of the party. Amos Chibaya further protested. These recalls paved the way for by-elections scheduled for December 9 to fill the vacancy created by the recall of the first group. They could offer on a platter of two-thirds majority in parliament, necessarily to amend the constitution to the ruling party Zanu PF victorious in disputed election in August. Civil society NGOs fear that this situation could lead to violence. Taxpayers' resources are being wasted on senseless elections. Spokesperson for the Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition to AFP, the CCC has managed to stay calm in the face of the ruling party's onslaught, but it's going to be difficult to hold back ordinary citizens. Zanu PF, in power since independence in 1980, is accused of leading a vast campaign of intimidation of the CCC. Last weekend, a party activist who was campaigning for the by-elections was kidnapped and found dead at the end of October, and the beginning of November, the CCC announced that one of its deputies and a former deputy had been kidnapped, tortured, then found naked and injured for the first, and his head shaved for the second. This is getting really dangerous. Things like this are not welcome, and you will hope that Emmerson Mnangagwa will put order in the country. I don't know if he is in support of this or not, but you cannot let this happen. Politics aside, you cannot let people go and start hurting other people. You cannot sit there and watch chaos take over. As the head of the country, you have got to put order in place. Every single member of the country is supposed to feel safe in the country. Irrespective of your political differences, the people are the people, and they all deserve equal rights. For you to have a country where people who do not agree with your political philosophy are being targeted and harassed and killed, it's really not a good way to be managing a country. And Zimbabwe has always had this problem of political violence. Like any single opposition that has tried to challenge the ruling elite, the Zanu PF, has been severely crushed. They have done that again and again and again and again, which is really not good. Why don't you defeat them in the ballot box? Why don't you defeat them on elections? If you think you are doing great for your country, if Zanu PF think that they have a huge support base and everyone loves them for what they've done so far, why don't they defeat the opposition in the ballot box? Why use crooked means to get their way? Why use intimidation to get their way? Why use kidnapping to get their way? This is really terrible. And I think Julius Malema spoke against Zanu PF. And when he called them a very rogue party. And he might have been right. If you see all this going on in the country and you don't see the leader, Emmerson Mnangagwa, saying anything about it, what comes to your mind? It means he is in support of it. But you guys out there, what do you think about politics in Zimbabwe? And should we, the African, or should be people in Zimbabwe, welcome such maneuvers? Should people be intimidated into silence? Should people be kidnapped because they have a different political view from the ruling party? Share that thought and opinions with us in the comment section below, because I always love hearing what you have to say. And please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel, because that helps us a lot and we shall forever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.